Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Three weeks ago, a woman was found dead in a park in the heart of Cardiff. She'd been sleeping rough in a tent, and in the few local press reports at the time, she was left nameless. Tonight, as part of our Out in the Cold season of programmes on rough sleeping and homelessness, we have a powerful extended report from our Home Affairs correspondent, Andy Davies. He tells the story of the woman in the tent with the help of those who loved her.
Queen Street in Cardiff, where each chill December those with homes pass fleetingly through and those without carry lives from one doorway to another. The plight of their growing number unfiltered despite the beguiling light. What brought us here? A couple of articles 3 weeks ago reporting another homeless death in a British city. The 21st classified as homeless in Cardiff to die in 3 years. Details were sparse, the coverage of the death fleeting. No name was given at the time, just that she was 32 and found in a city centre park late on a Saturday night. We wanted to find out more. Her name, perhaps a photo, and a glimpse into the life behind the statistic. We're trying to find out a little bit about this woman, and I wonder... In Queen Street, we asked other rough sleepers like Kyle to help build a picture.
But that's where she was asleep, with it. That was her doorway.
Right, just in here?
Yeah, that doorway with it.
And by the time we met Lee, sheltering under a railway bridge, hi, Lee, we had a name. She was called Lindy. What do you remember of her?
I've seen her here about a year now, for the last year, in Cardiff.
And whereabouts was she staying?
In a tent by the museum, as far as I was aware.
And was she alone or was she with someone?
No, with her partner, Michael.
Have you seen him? We'd heard that Michael, her partner, was still in Cardiff. We returned another day to look for him, eventually finding him, sitting by himself, barely noticed, against a rubbish bin. The trauma of the last 8 days, handwritten onto a piece of cardboard. I found my partner dead in our tent on Sunday, it reads. Her name was Lindy. I'm lost and need help. How have you been doing these last few days?
I don't know. It's been a blur, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, I don't know. I don't know what to do next, I don't know which way to turn, I don't know what to do, I don't.
And so Michael told us of that night, like others, spent near the city's museum. Of coming back to their tent to find Lindy lying motionless and cold.
I went back after about an hour and a half, she was gone. I found her dead. In a tent on Sunday, just gone. I went straight to the police station as soon as I found her, because it was opposite. I ended up in hospital then because I was suicidal. If I'm honest.
How long had you and Lindy been together?
2 years.
That's her name, Lindy?
Lindy Louise Pring, yeah. Yeah. I got a name on my neck.
Lindy Louise Pring. On Facebook we find her profile and a stream of photos. Here she described herself as easygoing. We learned she'd worked at McDonald's. And in March posted how she was feeling brilliant about her engagement to Michael. To all my mates on Facebook she wrote, "Please let me know who'd like to come to my wedding in November." The month it turned out, she died. It's on Facebook too that we get a message to her family, based near Caerphilly, just north of Cardiff, where Lindy grew up.
That's when we're kids.
Where we meet Lisette, one of Lindy's younger sisters.
So that's Lindy there?
Yeah.
And which one's you?
Me.
Yeah.
And then that's my little sister.
You got on well as sisters?
Yes.
Yeah.
We fight like cat and dog, but we would laugh so much. We got on really, really well, yes.
As to what caused Lindy's death, the family are still waiting for answers.
What do you know about how she died?
We don't. They just said originally it was due to drugs, but then they've apologised because that's not the case. They don't actually know how she's passed away. Lindy had COPD, which is a lung disease, and that night, you know, it was really cold and she was really ill. She was ill when we'd been to visit her, so it could be that. We don't know as yet.
How she ended up sleeping rough, say her family, is also not entirely clear. According to her partner Michael, they had a council flat in Aberdare, but abandoned it 6 months ago after disputes with neighbours, seeking a fresh start in Cardiff, which never materialised. Lisette used to visit Lindy twice a week and take food. That was after searching for her after hearing she was homeless in Cardiff.
I found her on the streets begging.
And what was that like for you?
Awful. You know. Yeah, you know, she's just sitting there on the floor, and I looked at her, and it's like she didn't even know who I was, or she wanted to hide the fact that she knew me, you know. I think she was embarrassed, you know. So yeah, it was hard.
What did you say?
Told her to get up off the floor. Just demanded that she got up off the floor. And, you know, I gave her a hug. I told her that I loved her. I just wanted her to know that we loved her and that she weren't on her own. She didn't have to be where she was.
Echo Quebec 1-2 to Echo Alpha 9-8, over.
In Cardiff, there's been a renewed focus by the police on rough sleepers.
You know where about all the soup runs and everything, do you? So you're all right with all that?
As the numbers rise year on year, nearly 80 were counted in the city recently.
Yes, fair to say that the number of street sleepers and beggars has increased in Cardiff, which is not out of sync to the rest of the country.
Roughly how much?
I would say over the last 2 years it's roughly doubled.
Not far from where Lindy used to sit, we filmed one homeless woman being arrested. She'd breached a previous order, we were told, to leave the area due to antisocial behaviour. Checking on welfare is a major priority too, say the police. But this is a problem which outreach work and hostel space doesn't always address.
We've been told that there are lots of beds available for people who are sleeping rough. So why would you have to be in a tent?
Well, we didn't have to be in the tent, but when you go, it's hard to explain to you without causing trouble. Like these places are not very nice. They're not very nice places to sleep, to stay. They're not, like, and they're not. They really aren't.
You were happier in a tent?
Yeah, we was. Yeah, happier together. It was a team, like, you know.
What sort of character was she, Michael?
Character? She's a one, and there's never be another one of her. Like, she was only one of her. You'll never get another one. She was brilliant. I loved everything about her. I loved everything about her.
Near where Lindy died, bordering the cenotaph, a few days later we found another tent pitched, tucked away behind an abandoned public toilet. On the night of her death, the temperature had dropped to 3 degrees. Michael didn't mention Lindy's past drug use. He spoke instead about her lung condition.
Do you think the fact that she was sleeping rough at night was exacerbating the problem?
Oh, exacerbating it? Yeah, that's a bit of an understatement, to be honest. Yeah, it was, oh, of course it was. Of course it was. It was a massive factor. It was the main factor, you know. She's dead because we were sleeping rough. You are?
Do you blame anyone for what's
myself.
happened? Sorry?
Myself.
You blame yourself?
Yeah.
Why?
I just do. Because we're down here on the streets. I should have done more. I should have done more for her. And I didn't. So I blame myself.
On November the 25th, this 32-year-old rough sleeper died in Cardiff. Her name was Lindy Louise Pring.
That report by Andy Davis was produced by Anya Pop and filmed by Di Baker, and it was Lindy Louise Pring's funeral yesterday in her hometown of Caerphilly. Well, we're joined now by Kate Webb from the homelessness charity Shelter. It's very rare that we ever hear the biology, learn the biology of a particular street death. And I'm wondering how you react.
I mean, I think no one can listen to that story and not feel horrifically moved. And I think people's reaction will be that she died far, far too young at 32. But actually, the thing that really gets me is that as a female rough sleeper, she wasn't dying that young. The average age of death for a female rough sleeper is only 43. And that's why organisations like Shelter and others say that our ambition has to be to end rough sleeping, because it is dangerous, and we cannot be surprised that unfortunately this is how some people's stories end if they don't get access to support and also housing.
Do we know how many stories end that way?
We don't, and I think that's telling in itself that actually the government isn't collecting national figures on the number of people who are dying because of this. And I think that reflects a lot of the problems around particularly women. We just don't know well enough what's going on. We don't even reliably know how many women are sleeping rough, because when the government collects statistics, it's literally people going out and counting people. And women, because of the particular vulnerabilities they face, because actually a lot of them, they are sexually abused on the street or they're threatened with violence, they hide away. They're not seen by the researchers going out, which means that we don't even have a full sense of quite how bad this problem is, which means that when it comes to commissioning the specialist services that particularly women need, it's not in people's minds.
The implication from the conversation Andy was having with Michael was that there are hostel places, or could be, and there may even be some shelter places, but they don't take them. So what's this about?
I mean, I think we have to remember there is a difference between Wales and England, and in England there is a problem of just a lack of beds. But there is a very important issue about the quality of temporary accommodation, both for single rough sleepers, but also to families with children. You know, we hear time and time again from clients who have been put in temporary accommodation, but it is often terrifying. They are sharing with strangers, there are police coming to the property, it is unclean, it is unsafe. You know, we frequently hear from parents who have been made homeless with their children and are scared to even let them go to the bathroom alone at night.
As I said at the beginning of the programme, this issue of homelessness and sleeping rough is on the periphery of the national discourse. And I'm just wondering why that is, and what Shelter would want done to bring it into the mainstream and perhaps have a structure, a national structure for dealing with it.
Well, we have been calling for a government strategy to actually end all forms of homelessness, rough sleeping, but also families being stuck in temporary accommodation. The government is moving forward with a specific task force around rough sleeping, but what we haven't seen is concerted effort to tackle those two big drivers, which have been welfare reform, but also the lack of genuinely affordable social housing, because we're not going to fix homelessness until we are actually in a position to provide homes to people.
Kate Webb, thank you very much from Shelter. And our Out in the Cold series will continue tomorrow night.